In Jamaica Magazine today,
agriculture is positioning itself to be the catalyst for growth in the Jamaican economy.
a plan that's already in motion. Keep watching for details. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Also in our lineup is information on how to safeguard yourselves against the hepatitis virus.
Don't make diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them clean.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale and this is your GIS News for Thursday, July 28. Government will be pursuing measures to increase protection of Jamaica's fishing territory and safeguard the country's territorial waters against poaching. While lamenting that Jamaica loses approximately $10 million annually due to illegal fishing, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the fishing zone can contribute significantly to the country's growth and development if it's properly protected and utilized.
The economic space that is under Jamaican jurisdiction is 25 times the size of our landmass. And I would be willing to wager that there is significant economic value within that economic zone, which we have not tapped fully.
The Prime Minister was speaking to reporters following a tour of Rainforest Seafood's facility on Slipe Road in Kingston yesterday. He asserted that securing the country's natural resources would enable companies like Rainforest to thrive. Mr. Holness charged the company's CEO, Brian Jardim, to develop new products and to increase the number of persons employed. Jamaica will be providing $4 million in support to the government of Venezuela as that nation grapples with food, fuel, and other material shortages. The South American country's economic downturn in recent months is partly due to rapidly falling oil prices. Information Minister Senator Ruel Reid announced Cabinet's approval of Jamaica's assistance to its bilateral partner at a press briefing yesterday.
$3 million through the Petro-Carib Development Fund and also another $1 million through the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. This decision is taken primarily to give support in the form of medicine, food and fertilizer.
Earlier this year, Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave directives to assist Venezuela in its time of need, as that country has assisted Jamaica over the years through the Petro-Carib Development Fund and other initiatives. In other news, the Information Minister also revealed at yesterday's post-cabinet briefing that a contract had been approved for Lime Jamaica to install a unified communication IP phone system for courts.
This is a voice over internet protocol system for a 3-year period at a value of $55.4 million. This is to improve services to the courts of Jamaica and court administration division.
National Security Minister Robert Montague is encouraging Jamaicans to unite against criminal elements in the society. He was addressing this Tuesday's launch of Jamaica Pray, a national day of prayer organized by the Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches for this Sunday, July 31. As he endorsed the event, Minister Montague said criminals should not be allowed to prevent the progress of Jamaicans.
Let us make a powerful statement for peace and lawfulness in our country and take a united stance against crime and the criminals who threaten the very future of Jamaicans.
Jamaica Pray will be held in Halfway Tree from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. as the Christian community seeks divine intervention to counter crime and violence. The Ministry of Sport will be providing funding to support the development of cricket among youth on the island. Portfolio Minister Olivia Green says this funding will prove to be a major investment in the sport.
With a well-crafted plan, the sustainability factors incorporated, and the technical experts on board, my administration will continue to be one of your partners. Cricket is an expensive game, but we are ready to invest in our youth. We are prepared to walk the talk. And so you will be hearing more about what we plan to roll out in terms of funding to ensure that we keep the nursery of cricket alive in Jamaica.
Minister Grange was speaking at a Jamaica Cricket Association press conference yesterday to discuss the upcoming matches between West Indies and India. The West Indies versus India Test match will run from July 30 to August 4, with the first match happening this Saturday at Sabina Park. And finally, approximately $150 million is being spent to organize this year's Emancipation and Independence celebrations. This was disclosed by Culture Minister Oliver Grange during this Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing.
That amount comprises government subvention as well as private sector sponsorship.
Minister Grange says the Independence Day Parade, which is usually held at King's House, will not be staged this year. The annual event is being revamped to be reintroduced next year for Jamaica 55 in a different format.
With the discontinuation of the Independence Day Parade at King's House, it will enable the Jamaica Defence Force to mount the grand ceremonial observation at the Grand Gala next year. And in place, the Governor General will host an appropriate event, a very formal event at King's House in the week leading up to Independence Day.
This alternate event will be more catered to diplomats and other high officials visiting for the celebrations. Meanwhile, a host of activities are planned island-wide for this year's Emancipation and Independence, culminating in the Grand Gala at the National Stadium on August 6. Tickets for the Grand Gala will be available from Friday, July 29 at Tasty Crossroads and Tasty Portmore, as well as from the Independence Village at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center from August 1 to 5. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Tamara McHale. Thanks for watching.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Increasing the number of agro-processing plants, connecting more farmers with markets, and expanding the value chain sector, just some of the areas that will be given priority attention this fiscal year. Minister with responsibility for agriculture, J.C. Hutchinson, shares the details.
Establishing organic farming and herbal plant industries. Expanding agroeconomic zones, school gardens and water supply systems. These are some of the areas of focus for the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries this fiscal year.
It is our intention to allocate a portion of the agro parks to grow organic crops as well. As a start, 27 acres of land at the Planting Garden River Agro Park in St. Thomas will be used to grow organic onions. In a compound in St. Elizabeth, ginger and turmeric are currently being organically grown. On another property in St. Elizabeth, land has been cleared for establishing 10 acres of organic onion, and they intend to expand that to 100 acres. Our overall target for this year is to increase the cultivation of organic produce by 150 acres.
The government is also looking to expand the value chain of herbal products by increasing production of related plants.
We are identifying areas in Manchester and St. Elizabeth to grow crops such as moringa, aloe vera, nopal cactus, Guinean weed, noni, etc. This is because there's a factory in St. Elizabeth that processes these items for health enhancement purposes. The processor is prepared to expand the facility as we increase the acreage in production of these crops. We intend to expand the production of these herbs by an additional 50 acres this year.
Continuing the production trend, the Agriculture Ministry will be increasing the school garden program.
It is projected that 2 school gardens will be established in each RADA extension area throughout the island this financial year. This will amount to a total of 196 schools having school gardens. The Jamaica 4-H clubs will be partnering with RADA in the development of these school gardens. It is intended that these school gardens will not only serve to assist with providing produce for the breakfast program, but they will also facilitate the training of the students at the schools in the best practices in agriculture.
To facilitate production, special attention is being placed on assisting farmers with water harvesting systems.
We intend to implement at least 12 of these projects this year. In order to achieve this, we will either create ponds or identify existing craters in which pond liners can be placed, thus creating water catchment facilities. We're also looking at repairing many of the catchment tanks throughout the island to assist farmers. The provision of the black water tank and drip hose will also continue to assist these farmers, not only in times of drought, but throughout the year.
During this fiscal year, a new water system will be installed at the Hill Run Agri Park in St. Catherine and an irrigation system at Spring Ground in St. Elizabeth. The irrigation system at Hounslow will also be extended and farm roads constructed.
We also intend to employ 1 extension officer to oversee and provide technical advice to the farmers of New Forest of House, 1 to be employed to Yallas and 1 to be employed to Spring Gardens, providing technical assistance to the farmers there.
The Agriculture Ministry is also taking steps to ensure that markets are available for crops being produced by the farmers. And as part of that, agroeconomic zones are being established.
Our plan is that there will be 4 or 5 agroeconomic zones established throughout the island. And these would be public, privately owned, and privately operated, or privately owned and operated. With this structure, the farmers would have a ready market for their produce, which would encourage farmers to expand their production and entice new entrants to the agricultural sector.
Minister Hutchinson says talks are also ongoing for the establishment of 2 agro-processing plants on the eastern and southern ends of the island.
If they are successful in negotiating with these different government agencies by the end of this year, early next year, they could start construction to set up this agroeconomic zone.
They will be equipped with cold storage facilities, abattoirs and wholesale outlets.
We will be able to implement a structured approach to the slaughtering of all animals for both the retail and wholesale trade. One has already been built in Westmoreland.
The agroeconomic zones will also offer grading, packaging, processing and drying services and will serve as central distribution centers to ensure traceability of agricultural goods from farmers to end users.
All end users will purchase their produce from the zones and be given an invoice or cash or charge receipt. Inspectors will be deployed to inspect all end users of agricultural produce. These end users must provide the proof of purchase from the complex, or else we are going to be putting in place that they be fined up to $3 million. It is felt that under this system, pre-their larceny would be curtailed by about 70%.
More development is expected in the processing sector. Government is looking to establish 7 processing incubators across the island. This is to further expand the value chain for fruits and vegetables, and persons will be trained to facilitate the process.
These incubators will be certified so that products could be exported directly from these facilities. Individuals or companies will be able to use these facilities for the processing of their produce. They will also be used for the training of persons in the value chain. Hard Trust NTA will be involved so that persons, after being trained, would be able to be employed in the hospitality or services industries, and would also be prepared to benefit from the employment opportunities in the overseas work permit.
And so, with plans in motion,
agriculture is positioning itself to be the catalyst for growth in the Jamaican economy.
Clean, beautiful beaches and oceans have always been an important part of life. We can make a contribution whether we live on the shoreline or miles away.
Today, July 28, has been designated as World Hepatitis Day by the World Health Organization. This was done to raise the level of awareness and to call for access to treatment and better prevention programs. Our mission today is to facilitate that process by telling you how the hepatitis virus can enter the body in the first place.
The human liver is an amazing organ. It performs some pretty vital functions, like regulating blood sugar and processing nutrients, storing the nutrients you eat and releasing them into your bloodstream as your body needs them. But did you also know that your liver does detoxification? It converts harmful substances like alcohol and other everyday foods into harmless products that can be excreted. Now that doesn't sound like an organ you can risk damaging, right? But the truth is, the liver is often attacked by a virus known as hepatitis. And on today's HealthWise, we find out more about this virus, all 5 types, and to tell you what you can do to stay hepatitis free. Hepatitis poses a serious threat to the liver. Upon entering the body, the virus attacks the liver, causing varying stages of infection and diseases. These range from mild to chronic and put victims at high risk of cirrhosis of the liver as well as liver cancer. Hepatitis also leads to death in many cases. The World Health Organization (WHO) reports that viral hepatitis kills 1.5 million people worldwide every year, alarming statistics that have prompted the WHO to push for a change in attitude to the various types of hepatitis. The WHO has designated July 28 as World Hepatitis Day to raise awareness and to call for access to treatment and better prevention programs that start with knowledge of how the virus enters the body in the first place. This depends on the type of virus, whether it's hepatitis A, B, C, D, or E. Hepatitis A and E are caused from ingesting food or water contaminated by feces of an infected person. It usually occurs where there is a lack of safe water and in cases of poor sanitation and proper hygiene. Certain sexual practices can also contribute to the spread of hepatitis A. While the A virus is not known to cause chronic liver disease, it does cause debilitating symptoms and acute liver failure, which can be fatal. Hepatitis B is contracted through exposure to infected blood, semen, and other bodily fluids. It can also be transmitted from infected mothers to infants in childbirth, transfusion of unscreened blood, and through contaminated needles from drug use or medical procedures. The B virus also poses a risk to healthcare workers who get stuck accidentally by needles while caring for infected patients. Hepatitis C is passed on mainly through contaminated blood. Transmission through sex and from mother to child is also possible, but much less common. Hepatitis D infections occur only in those who are infected with the B virus. This dual infection of the B and D viruses can lead to a more serious disease and worse outcomes. Some of the symptoms of hepatitis include loss of appetite, an enlarged liver, tenderness of the liver, abdominal pain and tenderness, nausea, vomiting and fever. Other symptoms include fatigue, joint pain and jaundice, which is displayed through yellowing of the skin and eyes, dark urine and pale stool. The good news is hepatitis viruses can be prevented by making informed lifestyle choices. Improved sanitation along with proper hygiene practices are effective ways to prevent the diseases caused by the hepatitis A and E viruses. In places where sanitation is inadequate, water should be boiled, all food properly cooked, and fruits washed, then peeled. In addition, there is a hepatitis A vaccine. Protecting yourself from hepatitis B can be done by avoiding contact with infected blood or bodily fluids. This means avoiding unprotected sex, sharing razors, nail files, toothbrushes, or needles used by infected persons. There's also a vaccine for the hepatitis B virus. Doctors recommend it for all infants as soon as possible after birth, followed by 2 or 3 doses to complete the primary series. However, children and adolescents under 18 who haven't yet been vaccinated can still get the vaccine. The hepatitis B vaccine also provides protection from the D virus. As for hepatitis C, there's currently no vaccine, but research is ongoing. Persons such as healthcare workers or caregivers who treat patients with contagious forms of hepatitis should wash their hands, utensils, bedding, and clothing with soap and hot water. Also, people traveling to countries where hepatitis is widespread are advised to get vaccinated before leaving. Hepatitis can pose a serious threat to your liver, but there are other factors that can contribute to liver damage. Among them, excessive drinking of alcohol, traumatic injury like the kind you could sustain in a car crash, autoimmune disorders, and adverse reactions to medication. Be on the alert, practice proper hygiene, and check with your doctor. Be good to your liver and it will be good to you.
Householders, business people, school administrators, be on the alert. Help control the mosquito population. Destroy breeding sites. Empty old tires and all other containers where water can settle. Bore holes in old cans. Cover water drums and garbage cans. Wash flower pots and vases and clean pet dishes regularly. Protect yourself from mosquito bites. Cover your body as much as possible and use mosquito repellent containing DEET.
Up next, a look at how the use of technology has evolved.
From live animal power to mechanized speed under the hood, narrow walkways and dirt tracks to multi-lane pavements and overhead carriageways.
The technology of transportation in Jamaica has come a long way.
Planes, trains, and automobiles on the Jamaican landscape have evolved over the decades and centuries. Go back in time, say the late 18th, entire 19th, and even the early 20th century, and you're likely to find these. A mode of transportation that involved harnessing the power of animals. The not-so-simple carriages of yesteryear are the precursors to the pavement-eating machines that now use motors designed to convert energy into useful mechanical motion. By the latter part of the 1800s, trams, horseless, metal, steam-powered carriages running on tracks were a feature of Jamaican roadways. They were preceded by the railroad, Jamaica being one of the first in the Americas. And by the mid-1900s had entirely moved aside to make room for the cars and buses that run independently on the paved streets that have been laid over former gravel and dirt tracks. After making landfall, the airways and sea lanes weren't far behind for motor technology. It's believed that the Jamaican skies saw its first plane in December 1911, when an American aviator, Jesse Seligman, took flight at the Knutsford Park Racecourse in what is now New Kingston. The national carrier Air Jamaica, now Caribbean Airlines, had its first departure flight to Miami on May 1, 1966. Commercial and domestic aviation is now a fully established mode of transportation for people and goods in Jamaica. The 1800s brought steamships, and steam vessels quickly made their way to Jamaican waterways, eventually making room for the motorized speedboats, heavy cargo ships, and cruise liners that we now find berthed at Jamaican docks. And after a long run, broken by about 2 decades of inactivity, passenger train service in Jamaica resumed in early 2011, at least on a trial basis.
The system of communication has had its own technological revolution, and Jamaica has steadily remained in the know. Did you know that Jamaica received telephone service just 2 years after the invention of the device?
In 1939, all major towns were connected through the all-island trunk telephone service, and April 1 was the day registered in history when the first connection was opened to the public, allowing persons to bypass the operator and dial direct. A few years earlier, 1936, brought the inauguration of a radio telephone service, allowing some people to speak directly with others in North America, England, Mexico, and Cuba. Then, the late 1900s and early 21st century witnessed an explosion of information technology in Jamaica. And going back, the earlier telephone technology had actually spawned its own offshoot in the telegram, a device somewhere between the paper mail and the type most common today.
Radio and television media in Jamaica have also come a far way. Telephone and radio had been around for quite some time, allowing Jamaicans to pick up foreign radio stations. But it was not until July 9 of 1950 that commercial broadcasting actually started in Jamaica.
That 1950s development brought us the Jamaica Broadcasting Company, later known as Radio Jamaica Limited, RJR. A cable radio service preceded it. Now, this came with a receiver box that would allow you to pick up the signal, and then you could listen.
The occasion on which I address you is somewhat historic, because this is the first time that the head of the government of the island has been able to address the people of Jamaica through the medium of a Jamaican broadcasting station.
The birth of Jamaica's first television station, the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation JBC in 1963, was certainly a big deal. Through the decades, the spectrum has blossomed, and satellites, cable and TV phones have made Jamaica a fully audio-visual nation.
We bring the curtains down on our show for today, but another Jamaica magazine will be on again tomorrow. In the meantime, log on to our website, jis.gov.jm, or our YouTube channel, and stay connected. Keep sending your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Adrian Atkinson saying thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.